It's an absolutely massive news day in the world of Magic the Gathering. A group of investors is attempting to get Hasbro to take Wizards of the Coast and spin them off into their own separate company, taking both Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering with them when they go. And if that wasn't interesting enough, we're also going to talk about the MTG Twitch mod kerfuffle.
Magic. I am a wizard! History. I'm an old wizard! The magic historian. My bones hurt.
Greetings! Owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, my friends. I hope the day finds you well, and buckle up, because we are about to talk about a very crazy situation that I was not anticipating, involving Wizards of the Coast becoming its own separate entity from Hasbro as opposed to a division of Hasbro. Now, what I'm going to go over in some ways is kind of complex because it does involve the inner workings of corporations and everything. So I'm going to keep it as simple as possible, partially for you guys and partially because it's not like I fully understand 100% how all of this works anyways, but I get the concepts of what are going on. So what's happening is an investor group that represents 2.5% of Hasbro's stockholders is making a push to fundamentally restructure how Hasbro works with Wizards of the Coast and Wizards of the Coast products. And this also somehow involves a Magic the Gathering former pro player as part of this investor group. So the world of corporations is very, very odd in some ways, and in other ways it's very simple. In terms of simplicity, if you have stocks, you get to vote. In terms of complexity, the types of stocks, the amount of stocks you have, determine how much and how you can vote, right? So these guys represent 2.5% of the entirety of the stock base. Now that's not enough to full on impose your will, just do whatever you want. If you want to do whatever you want at a corporation, then you have to own 51% of the shares. As soon as you have 51% of the vote, you can force through whatever you want. You can put whoever you want on the board, have them do whatever you want, and essentially you own and control the corporation, because even if every other shareholder gathers to try and stop you, that's only 49%. So you've got the majority vote and you essentially auto win. Now, when you're coming in with 2.5%, you have enough of a sway that people are going to pay attention to you. For example, if let's say Hasbro only had people who owned 2.5% of the company, then that would be only 40 different people to make up that full 100%. So you can see, with 40 different people, they would have huge sway comparatively, right? But we're looking at a situation where, yes, this collective of people represents that 2.5%. That's 1/40th of the entire stock base. But then you've got everybody else out there with little groups here and there, right? Like, I don't know what the exact breakdown is, but obviously they don't control 97.5% of the stock, which means they have to get other people on board. The plan is to try and install their members onto the board of directors. Once they have their members there, then they can kind of try and push this through. Now, they have to come at it from an angle where they are persuasive and make actually valid points to get people on board. And I will admit that some of the stuff that they're saying is genuinely attractive from the outside, although, take it with a grain of salt, because we don't know exactly 100% what the underlying motives are. Now, the way it's being presented to us is, hey, what we want to do is we want to take Hasbro's productive department here, Wizards of the Coast, the division, we want to separate it out so that it can thrive on its own. And on the surface, makes perfect sense, right? You look at what's going on with Hasbro. Hasbro has had a very difficult time lately, with the exception of things like Magic the Gathering, because Hasbro is a toy company, and we're talking like the little kitty toys that you get all over the place, movie tie-ins and stuff like that, and sales for stuff like that have been flagging over time. Hasbro's been getting hit pretty hard. I don't know how much attention you guys pay to what's going on in the world here or there, but you might have heard about Toys R Us going down, bankruptcy, restructuring, all that sort of thing. So a number of these sort of like pegs have fallen. Hasbro's lost money in a bunch of these areas. But then you've got Magic the Gathering, which is this bright, shining star. If you take a look at the information, it looks like Magic the Gathering is responsible for about 40% of Hasbro's successful income right now, right? That's where a big chunk of their wins are coming from. So from the perspective of investors and this particular group of investors, what they're trying to say is, look, if we take Wizards of the Coast, we take Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering, which are very successful brands we have right now, which are flying high, but we've got this drag on them based on these other products. So the other products we're selling through Hasbro are doing poorly, and overall, it kind of devalues the company. So if you can separate out Wizards of the Coast into its own entity that's still owned by Hasbro, right? But it's not like a division. It would have its own shares, essentially, right? Now, Wizards of the Coast doesn't have its own public shares. You can't own them or whatever. Hasbro owns it like you would own a pair of shoes or something like that. It doesn't operate the same way. So Hasbro is a publicly traded company. That's how all this stock stuff works. Wizards of the Coast is not a publicly traded company. But that's what they want to do. They want to say, hey, let's take this out. We'll make it a publicly traded company. And at the same time, all of Hasbro's stockholders would get a share of Wizards of the Coast as well. So it's not like separated off, treat it like it's whatever, and people who own Hasbro get nothing. Clearly, the people who own the stocks at Hasbro will also get shares in Wizards of the Coast. The idea being that Wizards of the Coast can be as valuable as the entirety of Hasbro if separated. That is the underlying concept. And another thing that they're saying is that they want to do this to protect the long-term health of these products. And admittedly, I really like hearing that. I do worry about the long-term health of Magic the Gathering with the short-term choices that it feels like have been made with the game, where it's like, get as much money as we can, as quickly as we can. The 5-year plan to pull in as much money as they can, double profits, succeeded very well. In fact, it didn't even take 5 years for them to double profits. So you've got this scenario where they know they can pull in crazy amounts of money, but it's at the sacrifice of card quality, customer satisfaction to a degree, but it's all in service of the shareholders, right? Because ultimately, the whole point of Hasbro is to make money for its shareholders, which means the whole point of Wizards of the Coast currently is to make money for those shareholders, which is why we see everything that's going on. So when they come along and say, hey, we want to protect this game for the long term and help its health, that is a genuinely attractive proposition, and that may sway more investors over to this group. They have the involvement of John Finkel, who is a former pro Magic player who is now a hedge fund manager. So he's involved in this project, and I've seen people excitedly pointing at that as a reason for, well, you know what, this is somebody who actually genuinely cares about Magic, knows a lot about it, and would probably be good to be involved with this. It should lead to good things. And I understand that mentality. On one hand, my brain goes, wow, if they did separate out Wizards of the Coast, this could mean great things for the game, right? We could go, wow, we're dedicated to this. Maybe we'll see a return to higher quality. There won't be as high a price push or anything like that. And then my brain goes, wait. Take this beautiful imaginary fantasy land that they're selling you and look at it underneath. Why is this happening? Is this happening because they want to save the game? Or is this happening because they want money? And then you look at the players involved. And yeah, as the figurehead, the forefront, they have Johnny Magic. Look at me, I love Magic. Yeah, but you're also a hedge fund manager. And this is also investing. And we're talking about an investing group here that wants this to be spun off. I'm sure they want it to be spun off so they can make money. And I have a hard time feeling that that's really going to be, we want to make money over the next 20 years. I feel like this might be an attempt to get Wizards of the Coast pushed outside of Hasbro and then pumped up even higher, because there's some valuations that are being given where it's like, look, we can get these profit levels up to this by 2024. So they're already talking about how much profit they can push out of the company in just a year or two. But how do you fix the problems with a company like this and increase profitability? If you're going to fix the problems, it's going to take time and money. And if you're spending time and money, you're not going to be in a state of big growth. So what's going to happen if this spinoff does actually occur? Well, all of a sudden, all these shareholders are going to be like, yo, bro, where's my money? Do you know what I mean? So you have this scenario where this new Wizards of the Coast has to keep churning money. And sure, you've got one guy who's really into Magic as part of this investor group. What about the rest? What are your chops like? And what do you like more, Magic or money? I'm guessing since we're talking about stocks and investing and everything, you didn't buy Hasbro stocks because you want Magic to succeed as a product, did you? No. You bought 2.5% of Hasbro because you want to make money. The same thing's going to happen to Wizards of the Coast. So I feel like it's going to be hey, wouldn't it be amazing if we spun Wizards of the Coast out and everything got better quality, everything is good now? And it's like, meanwhile, it gets spun out and they're just cracking that whip. Give me that money, Wizards. Give me that money, Wizards. Do you know, like, I feel underneath that ultimately this probably would change very little if it happened. And that's a big if to me as well, because it's going to be a tough sell, right? You've got to deal with the fact that stakeholders in Hasbro that like don't really care about Magic specifically will go, no, don't take that thing that I don't care about but is worth a ton of money out of Hasbro. There's going to be a bunch of stockholders like, if you remove this stuff from Hasbro, aren't you making my Hasbro worth a lot less? My stocks are going to be worth less overall. And I feel like that kind of stuff is going to get waved and washed away. I don't know. I'm curious to see how this is all going to actually shake out. It's interesting to note that Wizards of the Coast has become successful enough that it's worth waging one of these kind of battles over. And nobody has the power to do any style of like hostile takeover setup where they own enough to go, my will is the way. So there's going to be some interesting wrangling and maneuvering with that. Now, if you have any thoughts on that, let me know, because I don't know a lot about this arena and I am interested in learning more. Let us, speaking of arena, people play arena on Twitch. Speaking of Twitch, let's talk about the Twitch MTG mod kerfuffle. This was something I wasn't even aware of until today. Apparently, back in December of 2021, Wizards of the Coast quietly axed all of their moderators for their Twitch. So they just abruptly said, hey guys, thanks for all of your help. We don't need your help anymore. So we do want to send you a token of our appreciation. Please provide us your contact information. So people did so. And what Wizards of the Coast had intended to send out arrived. And what it was a playmat with the Twitch emoticons along it. Now, on one hand, you can look at that and go, because there's multiple sides to the people who are unhappy about this situation. So on one hand, you have people saying, look, the moderators for Wizards of the Coast, you just volunteer to do this for free. This isn't a job. You're not getting paid to do it, right? So the fact that you volunteered and did it for free, you wanted to do it, and then Wizards of the Coast gave you a playmat that is a memento of that. And that playmat is fairly unique. You may not like it the most, you may not find it the most visually attractive, but you're being given some token item as a reward for something you chose to do with your time, and you should be happy with that. And then you have people on the other side of it, and this is one of the people actually involved in the situation as well, who's been tweeting about it, saying that I put in many hours of unpaid work, and when you're doing this sort of thing, you should get more compensation than just a playmat. Wizards of the Coast is a giant corporation, and they have the money to pay people. So essentially, like what it boils down to underneath for people is you fall into one of two camps. Either the, look, you volunteered to do this, I don't want to hear your complaints, you're doing it for free. And then another group that's going, Wizards of the Coast is so huge that they should be paying. They shouldn't be getting free moderators. They shouldn't take advantage of people working for them for free. I mean, in some ways, it's a flashback of the judge program. And I will say this, I was a judge for free for Magic the Gathering. I did it in the mid-90s when Magic was much smaller, and I did it as an act of love and passion, right? And that's what these people, I imagine the people who become Twitch moderators for Magic the Gathering are doing it because they're passionate about the company, and probably, as well, they like being moderators. People like acknowledgement. People like being marked out. If you're marked out as a moderator, you stand out slightly above the other people in the chat, and you do have a level of power as well, right? So people appreciate having that feeling. So for me, I fall somewhere in the middle. Wizards of the Coast is a giant corporation, so them not having paid mods is kind of baffling to me. You should have people on the payroll with a set list of things they need to do rather than a disparate random group. As far as I understand, they might have discontinued the Twitch mods because they were too erratic overall, and they would knock down certain things that Wizards didn't want talked about. But other things, if they agreed with them or whatever, they would let conversations continue that shouldn't continue. So they super heavily moderated certain things that maybe they shouldn't have, and didn't quite moderate other things that Wizards would have wanted moderated, because they're like, no, don't let people talk about that. So they just decided to disband the whole thing. And so now some people are coming and going, hey, I deserve compensation because I did all this work. And it's like, look, man, I did the volunteer thing too. When I was done, I wasn't like, yo, you owe me money for this. I signed up to do it. At the end of the day, if you sign up to do moderation for free for a like billion dollar corporation, that's your choice. Do you know what I mean? Like, I go, okay, yeah, it's skeezy that they're doing it, but at the same time, you just chose to do it. So whatever, man. Enjoy your playmat. Could they have given you more? Yep. I'm surprised they didn't give you less. I'm surprised they didn't just send you out a random booster pack or a random booster card or something. Costs more to make a playmat and ship it, right? But either way, I just thought it was an interesting little note to tack on to the crazy investing stuff. Thanks for coming by, my friends. Big shout out to all of my patrons. I'm going to leave some fun links up on the screen. Let's do my lore channel and the funniest video I've ever made on the screen. Choose your own adventure, my friends. I'll see you over there.